not every day, but that's just one small portion because also depending on the insurance company, once the claim goes over a certain percentage, I'll get a percentage of that claim. So, for example, like State Farm, once the claim goes over 50,000, I'll get a percentage.
Okay.
So one claim could pay me $1,700, $3,500.
And this is like in like a day's work sometimes, right? Yes,
there. And I may go, like I said, normally I'll do 3 to 4 houses a day.
What's up, world? Welcome back to the Tuned In with Tony podcast. And I've got a special guest on the show today that's going to be talking to you about a professional service that I know you've dealt with, especially if you are a homeowner. And we're going to show you today how accessible this career path is for you if you're looking for something different that is professional and you've interacted with this person already multiple times when pipes bust, the California fires, when homes get damaged. All of these things are things you deal with. So I've got my guest on the show today, Nick Ward, who is a field adjuster, and he's going to be talking about all the things that you could do in that industry, how you can get involved with it as well. So welcome to the show, my guy, Nick.
I appreciate it, Tony. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so how long have you been doing this occupation as a field adjuster?
Man, I've been a field adjuster about a decade now.
About a decade?
Yeah,
so like,
years,
let's
man.
tell me this. When you think of a field adjuster, and you just see that job on Indeed, right? Because I've seen it before. You scroll past it. You're like, this doesn't seem like something super exciting or fun to work on, right? But what was it that caught your eye? Or did someone tell you how much money you could make in it with the freedom that you have? Like, what was it?
So somebody put me into the industry, and then like what you're seeing on the internet a lot of times isn't an independent field adjuster. That's just like a staff adjuster. That's like working directly with an insurance company.
Like State Farm, Allstate, all of that. Okay.
Yeah. So independent field adjuster, which is what I am, I can work with any insurance company. Okay. So you'll get paid a lot more doing that like that.
Got you. So basically what you're saying, it's almost like how you got insurance brokers, but you could just work with anybody. Like, you don't broker any deals, though, do you? You're just up for grabs for whoever calls you?
Correct. So I'm an independent contractor, so I'm registered with a lot of different firms, and then the firms have to contract with the insurance company. Okay. So then when the claims come in, they'll call me and basically say, hey, we have this type of deployment. Do you want to take it? Yeah. And then I'll say yes or no.
Break down the word deployment in your industry, what that means. Because obviously most people know deployment going overseas. So obviously it's going somewhere. What does that mean?
So like, for example, with the California fires, for example. So they'll call me and say, hey, we got a deployment in California. We need you out here on like the 17th. And then I'll just say yes or no. And then I'll pull up to California.
Yeah, so since that was such a major disaster, right, we feel bad for all the families. Condolences go out to them. But, like, what do you do on the ground? Like, homes are burned down. People have lost homes. What is your, like, job when you're there?
So it all depends on, like, so a person with my type of experience, they might put me on ground zero, which is basically where you have total devastation, where the home may be completely missing, the business may be completely gone. At that point, I'll do an estimate on the property to see if it's anything that's salvageable. If not, then we'll do a total loss, which depending on the insurance company, we could come up with that figure.
So you're the person, when you show up, they're banking on you that they can get a good check to recover what they've lost. So in that field, like, what's that pressure like? Because, you know, and they're going through their loss, right? Whether that is in a person, like their home, or in a natural disaster, and they're like, probably wanting to get better or get more. Like, what type of pressure do you have for like writing the right amount?
So in this industry, like I said, in this industry, I've learned to have difficult conversations. Yeah. So that's a skill set that you pick up in this industry, and basically you're just enforcing the policy. So a lot of people haven't realized what they're paying for. So I try to educate them, and I'm just basically the middleman explaining what you're paying for and how it's going to pay out in terms of your loss. So if you have coverage like you're using at fires, for example, we'll see that they have proper coverage. They made all their payments, and then we'll be paying, depending on their coverage, exactly what they have in their home, and then we'll just replace it at that cost.
Got you. So it is extremely important to be insured, right?
Correct. And making sure that you know what you're paying for. A lot of times when you're trying to get a home, you're signing so many documents, you're just trying to get the property. You've never even read your policy. So you assume that it covers this, or you assume that it covers that, but honestly, you really don't know. So I tell people they need to be, they need to read what they're paying for so they know, what's covered, instead of disaster happening, and then you're trying to find out what's going on.
That makes sense because my mom, she's a State Farm insurance agent for home and auto and stuff like that, right? And then she's always like putting forth well, she makes sure I got the good stuff, but she's teaching me like you got to make sure you read what you're paying for, because a lot of people, just because you're insured and you can pass an insurance card does not mean that you are truly protected in the best way.
Correct.
Because you're like, well, this is the cheapest person over here, but then when a natural disaster comes, or not even natural disaster, just a disaster in the home that you're not taking care of like you thought you were, right?
Yes.
So you've ran, and I know you have, but you've ran into situations where people didn't have the right coverage and that affected like your adjustment?
Yeah, or I'm just unable to pay for it. So example, like, jewelry, for example, you need a special jewelry endorsement to cover a certain amount. So normal policies may cover up to $2,500, but you may have more than $2,500 worth of jewelry.
Yeah.
And people think that that's personal property, but that's not. That's a special endorsement for jewelry. And then you have some for firearms and,
So let's talk about that, right? Because I know that you do the big stuff as well, like natural disasters, going to California, Florida, hurricanes. We'll talk about all that, right? But let's talk about the average person, right? Okay. Like you got a nice piece of jewelry on right now. People have wedding rings. They have all of this stuff. And then they'll have like personal articles that they've never really updated as they've got more successful and bought more things. So that's probably a key thing that a lot of people are missing by not having the proper amount insured, right?
Correct. So you want to make sure that if you have a piece of jewelry, you want to make sure that you're getting it appraised within 30 days.
Yeah.
And then you want to send that information to your agent's office so they can then update your policy and make sure that you have the right coverage. And then depending on the insurance company, even if it's not in the home, it's still covered. So you can, you could be out of town and get robbed, and then that item is still covered under your homeowner's
People
insurance.
never think about that. You know what I'm saying? What's the most common denominator thing that you see is just like an ignorance tax that a lot of people just pay for not knowing?
Just the fact that most people think, I would say, between insurance and then FEMA. So like FEMA would be like flood. So that's like surface level water. So if the water comes underneath the door or underneath your patio door, that's not your insurance 9 times out of 10. That's going to be FEMA. So that's surface water. If
insurance is come the pipes and stuff.
Right. If you have like a backup sewer and drain is what we call it, like a BUSD. So like if your toilet overflows or something like that, that would be your insurance.
Got you.
But that BUSD, that backup sewer and drain, that's a special endorsement. So if you don't have that, then you don't have coverage.
Got you. So you being an independent, like you don't clock in necessarily for State Farm, Allstate, Geico. You're just available to work for all of them, right?
So normally when you, like I said, a deployment. So I'll be registered with several different firms. They'll call me and say, hey, for example, we have a State Farm deployment in Chicago. And they'll say, do you want it? And I'll ask them maybe what the terms are. So we normally get paid in 2 different ways.
Yeah.
Where there's what we call day rate, which is a flat rate per day. So there's like 6, 12, 7, 12. So like 6 days a week, 12-hour days. Or 7 days a week, 12-hour days. And then that rate might fluctuate depending on your experience, or if you're willing to do like, 2-story steep items, buildings that are taller or steeper. That rate might start at like $47 an hour for 40 hours. Then, you get time to have after 40. So you're clocking over $60 an hour.
Got you. So in this career that you're in that other people can get into as well, is it like you're your own boss in a sense? Like, are you always just you in your car? Like, what is the day-to-day, the teamwork? What is that like in this field?
So it's like no other industry. I want to make that be known. It's like no other industry. You set your own schedule. They give you your claims, and then you call them out. You schedule them. Say, hey, what works best for you and the homeowner. And then depending on the insurance company, depends on how in depth you go. Sometimes you just schedule the inspection. Go perform the inspection, maybe write the estimate, and then you just send it to the insurance company.
Okay.
So normally I teach people how to work with State Farm because that's one of the biggest insurance companies. Yeah. And then most of the other insurance companies, once they see that you're State Farm certified, it's pretty easy because they say, hey, if you could work for State Farm, you could pretty much work for anybody.
Right.
So that's the best way I like to direct people. And then that way you're able to work with pretty much any insurance company from that point.
Got you. So when you pick up these jobs, like, because I'm looking at different industries, right? Like I have people in the interview that's in freight brokering and trucking. They use like a load board to find gigs. Like Are you literally just sitting there waiting for a ding? Like, how do you find your work?
So that's the crazy part. So I literally just turned down a deployment yesterday.
Okay.
So like I said, the firms they'll call you and say, "Hey, we got a deployment in Chicago." Like I said, for example, once you take that deployment, the claims just automatically come to you. Mm-hmm. So they'll ask you, "Hey, where are you living or where are you staying?" Or they'll already have some type of territory.
Yeah.
And then the claims will just start coming, and then at that point you just start scheduling.
So it's pretty lucrative, is what it sounds like.
So like like I broke it down to you. So when you have the day rate, which is 7 days a week, 12-hour days, or or so forth. Another one we have is component, which I like to call component.
Right.
So component is basically you get paid by what you do. Mm-hmm. So for example, if it's just like a regular home, like a regular ranch, it'll pay $525, and then I'll split that with the firm. So I'll normally get like 65%; they'll get like 35%. Okay. If the house is 2 stories or steep or something like that, it's going to pay $675. Yeah. And I'll get 65% of that, and they'll get 35%.
Yeah.
So you figure, on a minimum, I'm going to make maybe about $340 per house.
How many houses can you do in a day?
The most I've ever done in one day was 7 houses.
How much money did you make that day?
That day, I think I made almost a little over $4,000.
$4,000 in one day. So what's crazy about that too is that, like, I guess what I'm thinking, that's a lot of money to make in a day, right?
So that's.
But I know that's probably not every day though.
No, that's not every day, but that's just one small portion, because also depending on the insurance company, once the claim goes over a certain percentage, I'll get a percentage of that claim. Oh. So for example, like State Farm, once the claim goes over 50,000, I'll get a percentage. Okay. So one claim could pay me $1,700, $3,500.
And this is like in like a day's work sometimes, right? Yes, there.
And I may go, like I said, normally I'll do 3 to 4 houses a day.
So making that much money, because sounds amazing to me. Do you have any expenses of your own, or is it just what are those expenses
like? You are independent field adjuster, so everything is out of pocket. So I pay for my own equipment. I'm using
let's break down what type of equipment does a field adjuster need.
So you need like a ladder, depending on the deployment, but you'll need a ladder. It's minor things. A tape measure.
You have to have a truck.
You can do it in a car, as long as you can fit a ladder in the car. Or sometimes it might be interior damage, so you're not going to climb on any roofs.
Got you.
Or it might be backup sewer and drain. It might be just some minor water damage. So you're not getting on the roof, so you can do it in the car.
That's what I was about to say. So there's no roof really.
No, it all depends on the storm. So if it's like a hailstorm or a windstorm and it rips off the shingles, then yes.
You would have to have your own like 18-foot ladder, 20-foot ladder then?
Correct.
Okay, got you. And would you just rent a truck in that scenario?
You can rent, but I like to teach, hey, let's make the most money. Let's get the bang for our buck. Yeah. We don't want to just spend money on a rental. You can if you want to getting started, but I'd rather just trap it out in the car. Yeah. And there's we got retractable ladders. Yep. There's fold-up ladder, F-frame ladders. It's so many different things that you could do.
So let's break down the list of just natural, like normal expenses that it would take for a field adjuster outside of the education, which we're going to talk about in a second.
So basically, to get started, I would say you only need about maybe $2,500.
Okay, just to get all your equipment, get everything that you need. Cool. And then what about like schooling? Do you need to have a degree? What do you have to do this?
It's a 40-hour course.
40-hour course.
40-hour course.
Okay. Through State Farm, through Allstate, through
no. So you're gonna get your all lines field adjuster's license. So that's a 40-hour course. Okay. And then from there you start acquiring a license.
So that to get that license, you can do that in a week.
It all depends on how fast you want to finish that 40-hour course. So I've had one mentee, he did it in 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So it all depends on how hungry you are. You get that certification, you start acquiring licenses, you can start making money immediately.
Okay. So then once you get the license, and you said you can start getting the money immediately, do you just open yourself to the pool of deployments? Like, right. Where's that part?
So then that's when I show you how to register with all the firms. Okay. And then once you're registered with all the firms, you're just going to start uploading your licenses as you acquire them. Yeah. And then as disasters happen or storms happen, they'll start calling you.
Does it ever get slow work-wise when there's not disasters, or is there always something going on?
I mean, we always have bad weather, so it's not necessarily a disaster per se. It could be frozen pipes. It can get too cold. It can get too hot and start a fire. It could just be, it's so many different things that I didn't even know that was covered, in the insurance world. For example, vandalism, that's covered. If somebody, this is kind of sad, but
vandalism in just the home.
Yeah, the covered peril, so the covered property.
Okay.
Say somebody commits suicide and they damage property inside of the home. That's covered.
I didn't know that.
Exactly. Yeah. So anything that's gets damaged to the home or whatever is covered, the building, then someone needs to come and check that out.
Got you. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So there's always work to be had, but there are storm season time frames.
Got you. So storm season in your field is when you guys would be the busiest, probably making the most.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And that means you're probably going to Florida, right?
So in the industry, you want to go to where the damage is. So when you're first getting started in field adjustment, I tell people, take the first deployment that's offered to you. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have anything going on. Like I said, I've been in the industry, almost 10 years now. So for the last almost 5 years, I've been working from home.
Okay.
So, if that's your end game, I want you to kind of get out there to get experience, because each state is going to have different types of building materials, and you're going to get to see more and more things. So you're basically sharpening, steel on steel like that. And then you're building your network.
Yeah.
So it's not like any other industry. So there is no resume. It's about your network, and then, how many deployments you've taken, who's helping you, who's training you. Like I said, I didn't have a mentor when I started. There was no guidance to this. There's no marketing for this. Nobody really talks about this industry. So it's kind of crazy. So I wish I had a mentor or somebody that can guide me through this, because without knowing properly what to do, you're going to leave so much money on the table, and you're not going to help the homeowner properly as well.
Got you. So when you say as well, like how the mentorship would have helped you, and there's no marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
When these agencies, these firms you said are looking, do they see like a track record for what you've done before, or is it just who's available?
Well, they're gonna see that too when they call you. So they're gonna see if you've had, you have that license and,
completed State Farm or State Farm certified.
Right, because you're going to have to upload those certifications. So they're going to know. And then they may ask you, hey, have you been on any deployments? Or this deployment takes, you need to know, you have to been on a couple of deployments before you could take something like that. Because they're not going to just, normally a firm is not going to just throw you in like California on ground zero and you don't know what you're going to do. That's overwhelming for someone. So at the same time, they may put you on the outskirts. So that's always a good opportunity to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell people, keep an open mind, because you're going to make, even on accident, you're still going to make 6 figures. So, you're going to make 6 figures in 6 months. Easy. And that's why I always tell you, I get wealthy off the weather.
6 figures in 6 months.
For sure.
Dang. So that means almost, you can make a lot in a year then if you do 6 figures in 6 months. Or is it because of the season you're saying that?
So it's like the season, but you're going to make regardless. If you work consistently for 3 to 4 months, you're going to crack 6 figures.
So let's talk about someone who just gets started, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I want something that I feel like is a safe gig. I want something that's a reputable gig. I never thought about being a field adjuster, national disaster adjuster.
Mm-hmm.
What is their route to like make the most money possible for themselves and their family as starting out?
Starting
a
out
6-month journey. Yeah.
Oh, be willing to travel. If you're open to travel and you're hungry and you're willing to learn, the sky's the limit. You can make as much money as you want to, honestly. I can't really cap it. Minimum, if you work for 6 months, you're going to make 6 figures. So my first year, not knowing what I was doing, I think I made 108, 106, and I worked 6 months.
Okay.
And then one of my highest years, I made 280.
Okay. Dang. So when you saying like the 6 months in this field, can somebody like, I mean, I know you can, but can someone like make that and just take off the other 6 months? Like,
that's what most people do.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not gonna say any names, but he knows who he is. His first year, his 7th month, he made $350,000.
Dang. What was he doing different?
He was just willing to go.
Okay.
He was just willing to go, willing to learn, and he didn't say no.
So this would be a great job for the person who's like at that professional stage in their life, but they're not tied down yet by family or married. Like they're single, it's just they just can run, right?
Not necessarily. This is what I'm saying, because you're independent contractor.
Okay.
So I also have another individual who uses it as a side hustle.
Okay.
So he has a full-time job, but he only runs claims on the weekend.
Yeah.
So he brings in another extra $60,000 to $80,000 just on the side.
Dang. So you can work on the weekend. Well, I guess
you make your own schedule.
Dang, that makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? You can make it whatever you want to make it. If you want to make more money, like if I have something coming up, I was like, you know what? Instead of doing 3 inspections a day, I'm gonna do 5.
Okay. And I was about to ask you that. So when it comes to the amount that you can do, right? Mm-hmm. Like, how do you speed through the day with still providing quality? Because in my head, and I know someone who's watching, they may be like, I'm going to do 7 a day. No. Like, how does that work? Yeah.
No. So you got to be realistic. At the end of the day, you only get paid when you close a claim. All the insurance companies want you to close a claim. It's not about inspecting the property. It's about treating the policyholder right. And how I do it is be honest with yourself. Be honest with, the policyholder, and be honest with the insurance company. If you do that, you'll be fine. Yeah. But you want to be realistic, and you want to make sure that you provide good service, and that's what I teach. But you want to make sure that you don't overwhelm yourself, because like I said, it is like no other industry. So there is going to be nobody else. Like if Tony does that inspection, Tony must close that claim. It's not like, I'm going to send Nick out there now. No. This is your job. So you want to make sure that you're not overwhelming yourself, because it can become overwhelming. Mm-hmm. But if you structure it, you stay organized and understand the claim process, you'll have no problem.
What's the overwhelming part of, like, if you overstack it? Like, what are you doing? Because in my head, and maybe someone's watching it, I pull up to the house, I look at it, that's broke. That should probably cost this much. Here's your check. Let me go to the next house and get some money. Like,
it can be that simple. Okay. But you could say, okay, you pull up to a house and say, okay, that's broke from the outside. Mm-hmm. And then they say, boom, I got water damage inside. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. So now it slowed the process down. Or now they're showing you multiple things in the house. Now maybe personal property's damaged. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? So sometimes you're meeting people at devastation. You don't want to just rush through it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So you want to make sure that you're listening to them and you're documenting properly. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure that you're getting the information to help them and yourself.
Got you.
So I tell people you're going to make the money regardless. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about the money. The money is there. Right. You know what I'm saying? Figure out the process. Start slow, then build to that.
Okay.
That's how you do it.
Got you. And then, as well as, like, how do you know the prices of how much the damage costs?
A lot of insurance companies, we use a program called Xactimate. So it's going to give me the market price for whatever it is. And then I just input the information. Yeah. It's going to, give me, I put the proper measurements in there. It's going to give me a price.
Got you. So now let's talk about, like, true natural disaster, right? Mm-hmm. Huge hurricanes, California fires. And let's talk about the California fires first. Okay. House is completely burned down. Can they just basically just throw you a number and just tell you what they want? Like, how does that work?
So when you look at if you look at your homeowner's policy, there's normally going to be like a risk amount. So there'll be like a total loss amount. Mm-hmm. That's the amount. If something like a disaster happens and wipes it out, that's the amount that they're going to cut the check for. Some insurance companies may do a reappraisal to make sure that that's accurate, and then that's the amount that they're going to cut the check.
Are you ever fighting with the insurance company from which you submitted? And, like, because you're the middleman, so the people are like, how does that work?
If you don't document properly, then you can go back and forth. Like, if I'm saying something is damaged, I have to show them that it's damaged. Yeah. Insurance fraud is a big thing. So if I'm saying, hey, this whole wall needs to be replaced, well, I need to have some type of photo documentation to support that. I need to show them, hey, it's water damage or it's burned here. It's connected. I have to replace this whole thing. And then, it makes sense. I have to make it make sense. Yeah. And that's basically, as long as you document properly and you explain it, you have no problem.
Since you've been doing this so long, like, when you walk into a building, like we're in this room, what do you see? Do you see, like, behind the walls? Do you see, like, you know what I mean?
Instantly, I can't turn it off. You know what I'm saying? So when you've been doing this as long as I have, I'm coming in, I'm looking at a property, I'm like, I wonder if they ever had water damage. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay, they did a patch. They did a patch here. I'm looking at the foundation. I'm looking at the baseboards. I could tell if the baseboards swole up, it had water damage. I'm looking to see, like, if I walk into a property or a basement, if it smells musty, I know they have mold. So it's so many different avenues, to it that you have. And then also another aspect that most people don't talk about is so many other side hustles that you can use. You can also do home inspections on the side too. So a lot of my friends will say, Nick, hey, I don't know if I want to file a claim. Can you come over and take a look? Yeah, I can. Okay. So you could do that as well to let people know if it's worth.
And that's like a private, because I remember when I was buying a home, I had a home inspection and I just, like, paid him directly.
Right. So that's a little different than a field adjuster because so a contractor, a field adjuster, and a home inspector, we're all looking for different things. A field adjuster, I'm looking for storm related damage. So I'm looking for, you said this storm happened on this date. I'm looking for damage that happened on that particular date related to that peril, which that storm. A home inspector is looking to see if things are up to code. They're not necessarily looking for storm damage. And then a contractor, they're just looking for damage. Right. So people was like, my contractor said I need a new roof. That's like going to the car dealership and them telling you don't need a car. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, obviously they told you it was damaged, but why is it damaged? Is it wear and tear? Did something happen? That's what we need to know.
Got you. Okay. So they all say so. But when you said you can do home inspections on the side, is that because you have these certifications? You also can do that. You're also certified for inspection as well?
Right. Because so after you've done it for so long, you're going to realize, you're looking for damage. You're looking for that. Most homes are pretty much the same. So once you see what water damage to drywall or plaster looks like, it doesn't matter if you go to your friend's house. You be like, that's water damage, or that's mold, or those shingles have wind damage. Those shingles have hail damage. You see what I'm saying? So at that point, you're just informing whoever it is that's you're asking to do the inspection. So that's how you're able to do it.
What's the pros and cons or the benefits of being like independent versus like working
staff?
Yeah.
Okay. So like an independent, everything is out of pocket. So I'm paying for my equipment. Some firms, they offer insurance, things of that nature. But I'm getting paid so much more. If you can go like a staff adjuster, you're working directly with State Farm or Allstate or anything like that. They're going to offer you insurance. You're going to have, vacation. They may provide a vehicle. So, but they're probably going to put you at about 80,000, between 65 and 80,000. And excuse me, you won't be doing, too much dangerous stuff.
Right.
Sometimes you will though. And we're doing the same exact job, but you're getting paid this and I'm getting paid that.
Yeah.
So it's just most people don't know about field adjusting. And 9 times out of 10, when you Google it, that's what comes up. Field adjust, and it's a staff position.
Got you.
So nobody's really talking about this side, the independent side.
Yeah. I know you said you didn't have like a mentor when you did this. Did someone tell you about the benefits? You just fall into this?
So it was crazy. So I was driving. I've had so many different careers, man. I've been a college advisor. I worked at AT&T corporate. I sold fuel for like BP and Mobile.
Okay.
I drove trucks. I got a CDL. And so I was actually driving trucks at the time. And my sister's friend was like, you should, look at the field adjusting. I was like, man, I'm making money. Everybody knows about trucks. I was like, man, I'm making good money.
So you were on the road.
I never went over the road.
Okay.
So that's one thing about me. Like when somebody tells me like, it's got to be done this way, I'm always looking like, well, why?
Yeah.
So when I got my CDL, they were talking about, you got to go over the road. You got to go over the road. I'm like, I don't want to go over the road. So I worked from home, but I didn't make that much money because I wasn't going over the road at first. So I had a good contract when I was driving trucks. So I was like, no, I'm cool. And so, but I ended up getting my license, my adjuster's license in 2015. And so the contract that I had ended up ending.
Okay.
And so when it ended, I was like, man, that's crazy. And I was like, you know what? I was a little younger. I was running through my money. I was like, well, let me see what this adjusting is talking about. I had $1,000, Tony.
Yeah.
I had $1,000. My first deployment, I went to West Virginia on a wind and hailstorm. So I went to West Virginia and I was like, okay, man, let me see what this is about. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know. I had no construction background for real. I knew what gutters were, but I didn't know what fascia, soffit. I didn't really know like the structure of a home. So I was like, man, I don't know if I could do this. I might go back to driving trucks. And like I think my third week, I made $16,000 in 1 week.
16,000.
I made $16,000.
You was like, I'm not looking back.
I wiped those tears, man. I was like, you know what? I think I can do this.
So you went from $1,000 to $16,000 in how much time?
That was my first deployment. So,
you said 3 weeks.
3 weeks. So my first check, because you at that particular time I wasn't making any money until I closed the claim.
Yeah.
So I was like, my first check was still decent. It was about $2,500, but I was already used to making that kind of money.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, and I was struggling because, whenever you start something new, you kind of feel I kind of felt like I was slow. I was like, man, I can't get it. I was like, I don't know nothing about this. And then it was like 2,500. Then I went to like 3,800, and then I just had a crazy week. You know what I'm saying? So like I went to some properties. It was like I said, West Virginia. So it was like the main house. They had a barn. They had an additional like a pool house. So like all these structures had damage, and I had a couple properties that week that had that. And man, that check came in. And I was like,
boy, it was lit.
I was like, I don't know if I was like, holy shit. I was like. This can't be real. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I think I could do this. And then after I took that in my mind, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be the best at this. I'm gonna do this. And it's an industry where not many African Americans are in it. It's a male, white driven industry.
Yeah.
And once I realized, I was like, I could do this.
Right.
And I just went crazy.
Yeah.
I went crazy after that.
Been doing your thing.
I just been doing my thing, and I've been just trying to educate as many people to let them know that it's real and it's like recession-proof.
Yeah.
During the
there's always gonna be disaster.
Man, during the pandemic, that's the most money I ever made in my life.
Why during the pandemic?
It was
when everyone's stuck in the house.
Because everybody was at home. And everybody was at home looking at their houses like, this is damaged. This is messed up. And they're bored. And they're filing claims. And it was crazy because I didn't even have to meet with contractors because we had to practice social distance. So I'm going to the property, not meeting anybody.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have to go inside the house.
They was just telling you what was wrong.
Send me some pictures. Take a picture, take a couple steps back, give me an overview, and then take me an overview of the room.
That's it. Man, was printing during the pandemic.
Man, so during that time, I gave my mom $10,000 to help her remodel her kitchen. I bought a truck, a Sierra Denali 2500. I put it on 24s, train horn. I bought a house.
Okay.
I bought a 4-bedroom house. Great school district. I don't have no kids, so I'm just going crazy.
Yeah.
And then I went to Cuba. I went to Cuba for like a month.
Dang.
I did this all in the same year, and I furnished the house within 3 months.
Wow, that's a blessing.
Man. I was surreal. You know what I'm saying? But at that point, then I was addicted.
Gotcha.
I was addicted. And I was like,
just getting more jobs, more deployments.
Because at that point, it was like, I can't go back to a regular job.
Yeah.
Where else am I going to make this type of money that fast?
So this too, what's so amazing about, like you said, was not a lot of, especially African Americans, knowing about this, right? Like, this isn't no like scam, nothing. This is literally through State Farm, Geico, Allstate, all this stuff.
You see bad weather on the news all the time. Yeah. Everybody in the industry, they know I'm not lying. We call the Weather Channel, that's the lottery channel.
It's the lottery channel.
Yeah. Right now, I'm in Atlanta right now with snowing here. Somebody's going to have a frozen pipe. Something. It's money all the time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it is a disaster. It is a peril. But at the end of the day, somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So and I'm still helping people.
Yeah. So with this job as well too, like, this sounds like something that is a job that can easily help you like stack, your life, as far as, because what are you, unless your lifestyle goes crazy because you're getting used to those $16,000 checks, it seems like way more influx than if you go staff, like you said.
For sure. Because again, like I said, most of the time, most individuals only work about 6 months.
Okay.
6 to 7 months.
Why though? If the money's coming in like that, why stop though?
Because it's going to slow down.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's not going to just stay consistent like that. Eventually it's going to slow down. But at the same time, most people aren't making $250,000, $300,000 in 6 months.
Yeah.
What do you need all of that money for? And you want to kind of decompress. You want to be able to enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, now this can fund your dreams.
Yeah.
Now you can start your own business. Now you're actually making money on paper. So now you can buy property. So there's so many ways to pivot outside of this as well.
So this is an amazing career because, like you just said, you work 6 months, you stack up a full-time salary of a degree to an MBA type of person. No debt. And then you can go start the dream of your life because you have the capital to do that. And
God forbid it doesn't pay out, take another storm.
Yeah. Why wouldn't it pay out though?
No, I'm talking about if you wanted to start your own
Oh,
business.
if you want to start
Like
your own business,
if you want to start your own business and it didn't work out, take another deployment.
Just take another. I see what she's saying.
Run it back up. Now you can bet on yourself. I always say bet on yourself. You know what I'm saying? And then at the end of the day, yes, you're working for yourself, but it's like you always want to figure out. Me personally, I don't know if I ever stop doing field adjusting. I know individuals, they're 50, 60 years old. They're still adjusting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
where does it get difficult though? Like, do you have to have some type of construction background? Are you cutting in the walls? You're not doing none of that.
You just pay.
Okay.
We don't fix anything.
Yeah.
I don't fix anything. I just pay.
Yeah.
I take pictures, I document, and then I write an estimate and I pay.
You actually give them the check?
I can.
Okay.
I can.
Nice.
Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like, depending on the insurance company, they just may want you to complete the inspection, write the estimate, and then they'll do the rest. They'll do the rest.
Man, that's awesome. So with this, if somebody's watching it and then they're just like, I heard what you said, like, you need mentorship, I could have moved faster, and they want your help, how can they get that help? And what do you offer to help people accelerate through this industry?
I offer, man, a lot of different things. I have an ebook that I offer if someone's trying to get into the industry and they really don't know. I would offer the ebook because it's going to give you everything that you need. I also offer a course because you may stumble upon it on Google, but that's just going to show you like one aspect. Like, okay, get a license. Where are you going to get the license?
Right.
How do you find the firms? So it's like I walk you through that. I help you through all of that. And then not only that, I guide you because this is just to be qualified to do the job. Right. You learn the job on the job.
Right.
So, excuse me. That's the only thing that's different about this career as well as is it's not broken down like any other industry. Like, okay, today we're going to learn the software, and then tomorrow we're going to learn customer service, and then we're going to learn the estimatics, and then we're going to learn.
It's really in the field.
It's literally here.
Yeah.
You have to learn it all. So now you got to learn the system. Now you got to learn. If you don't have a construction background, now you got to learn that. Now what if you don't have,
Who would you call, like, I don't know if you offer this in like your program, if support wise, right? If I'm a new field adjuster and I'm out on the field, what if they had a question? Like, who do they reach out to?
So, depending on the firm, they do have management.
Okay.
But you got to understand. So, like, if you're in California, for example, your manager might be managing 20 people,
right?
25 people. You got a question. It might take some time for them to get to you. You see what I'm saying? So, in this industry, there is no resume. It's your name. It's your network. So I'm helping you build a network. I'm going to know about the deployments before the average person would.
Yeah.
So I can make sure that you stay working. I can answer those questions. Hey, I'll tell you, you don't know what that is. Make sure you take a picture of it. You can show me. It's so many tricks of the trade that I just know over the years. I know how things are built. And it's like, okay, well, I see they got this there. And I'm like, well, this, and this is behind it. So you're going to have to pay for this, and this, or you see that's tied into this. So you're going to have to replace this and that.
Gotcha.
And so, and not only am I showing you how to properly pay the insured, I'm showing you how to properly write the estimate, and you're just running it up.
I do have a question though, just because I know how people's minds may be thinking who are watching this. How do people stay within, like, where's the checks and balances so that you don't just say, oh, get my homeboy to do my adjustments so that, he can throw me an extra bag.
You don't pick the claims.
You don't pick the claims.
No. Okay. So they're going to be assigned to you. So it's like, hey, Nick, I want you to be my field adjuster. There's no way for me to get that claim.
Gotcha.
And then you're still dealing with what's the word I'm trying to say?
Proprietary.
Yes, information.
Yeah.
So I can't just access your claim, even if I wanted to. Everything is timestamped. You're dealing with Fortune 500 companies.
It's not even worth it.
It's not. I'm making $500,000 sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? $250,000. Why would I risk that?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So you got to make it make sense. But at the same time, I can advise you, but I can't access your claim or I can't take over that claim.
Yeah.
So, that's how they kind of keep
things
in order.
And most of the time, they also can see, like, the risk level, like you said, of the house, like the risk amount, all that, to where if it's in that range, they're probably not even like, boom. But if you go crazy and do something wild, you're just going to get yourself jammed up.
I mean, that's like, if your toilet overflows and I'm trying to write $100,000 estimate. Like,
right.
damn, your toilet just overflowed. What happened here? What happened here? So, you just got to make it make sense.
Yeah.
And, you still have to provide photo documentation to support whatever it is that you're saying.
Got you. Mm-hmm. I did have a question, too, with you being, independent, and you said some of the cons where, like, of course, you have your own expenses, right? When you are traveling to these places, let's say we're in Atlanta right now. If you go to California, do you just like wash out like in hotel and airplane flights, like the amount that you would make?
No, so that's also what I teach you. I teach you how to budget, because you can be spending a lot of money as well. Yes, you're making a lot of money, but you could be spending a lot of money. So you want to have a vehicle. If you don't have a vehicle, you can work until you can, pay for a vehicle. But if now you're renting a car, you see what I'm saying, or you're renting a truck, that's taken away from your overhead. So you do have to drive to these areas, or you have to pull up because you're going to have your equipment.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that you're staying minimal. You're normally by yourself. So why you're not going to stay at the Waldorf or the Trump or the Ritz. You just need a little Holiday Inn, a little extended stay, or maybe an Airbnb. This is a great opportunity too. I know people that do it with their spouse, or they'll go with some friends. Like, hey, let's just all get an Airbnb and we could just, So that's the idea. You want to keep the cost down, so that's more money that you're bringing back.
Got you. So if you were to go to like California, because that's what's going on right now, are you driving there? Are you flying?
I would drive.
You would drive all the way to California?
I would drive all the way to California.
Okay.
So you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to drive to California. I might have to get an oil change when I get there. Even if I go to California and I'm there for 2 months.
Okay.
And I spend $10,000. Okay.
Yeah.
I may have made on the low end,
especially something like California right now.
Yeah. So just say on the low end, I made $100,000.
Oh, okay. It's like that's 10%.
So what? I spent $20,000. Where else am I gonna go make that money in 2 months?
Yeah, exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
And break down to me too, like before we leave, like where is the money coming from? I know where it's coming from, but like how do you make that much off of just selling people? Is it like what's the breakdown?
So, like I said, we get paid 2 different ways. So it could be a day rate. So the firm that you're with, they're going to offer you, hey, this is a day rate, or you can do component. You'll get paid by the damage that you found. So I tell people, you want to go component. Don't be scared to make the money. I know like the day rate is, whether you go to the inspection or not, you're going to get paid that. And I used
the breakdown component, because day rate makes sense. It's like every day I'm getting this, right?
Right, no matter what. And I did that for the most of my beginning of my career, because I was scared. I'm like, hey, I was making about $4,500 before tax.
Okay.
And I'm like, and you get paid every week. So you get paid every week. And so I'm like, I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
I'm like $3,800 after tax, between $3,800 $3,500. All right, cool, I'll take that. Not knowing I was leaving so much money on the table on component, because if the claim goes over $50,000, now I'm on day rate, I don't get that. Or, as I started to scale, I'm like, I can do more and more inspections.
So when it goes over $50,000, you said you get a percentage, like, is that like a commission? Like, how's the percentage?
It all depends on the firm and what you have worked out. So it'll go between $50,000 to 50 to 60. Then it go to 60 to 80. Then 80 to 100.
And why are they paying you out more? Because it seems like
it's more work that I'm doing.
More work. So the insurance company's not like, dang, now we spending all this bread and we got to pay you as well. They're not thinking like that.
What I want you to do, after you watch this podcast, I want you to go outside wherever you are. I want you to look to the left, and I want you to look to the right. Yeah. And I want you to look straight ahead. All of those properties have insurance.
Money's just flying.
You can't watch a sporting event without even seeing an insurance company.
Yeah.
What does it matter?
Yeah. You're right.
This is a drop in the bucket.
Drop in the bucket.
You see what I'm saying? So once you change your mind frame, the money is there. It's just, are you going to go get it?
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they're paying me a lot of money, but everybody's paying them so much money a month.
Yeah.
For their premium. And they're not even filing claims.
And obviously, we've heard all the benefits about this, right? And it's very interesting. That's why I've asked so many questions. But it's like,
you good.
How do you compare it to the person who is thinking about, I'm going to either start truck driving, I'm going to start my own Turo business, or even like, let me change that question actually, right?
Okay.
What do you think about the person who's entrepreneurial minded, but they don't want to be fully entrepreneurial? They still want that like security, but they kind of want to be like on their own schedule. What do you say about that? Because there's a lot of people in that field.
I say with this industry, like I said, I changed jobs every 2 years before I got into field adjusting. Try it. Just bet on yourself and try it. It's real. Like I can't want it more than you do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know bad weather exists. You know the insurance companies exist. You know disasters happen all the time. Why not try it?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? It's not like you're going to college and I'm telling you it's going to take $100,000. It's going to take $80,000 to get started.
Yeah.
And then it's going to take you 4 years. Then you got to start entry level. Then you're going to start making money. 40-hour course, mentorship course.
Mm-hmm.
Try it.
How much does the official 40-hour course outside of your education that you offer cost?
So when I took the course, I think it was like $230 something.
That's it?
That's it. Now I think it's like $160.
Oh, wow. So then take that course, get officially certified. How do they get State Farm certified?
So once you start registering with the firms, those firms will tell you when they're offering State Farm certifications. And then at that point, you'll start acquiring the licenses for the states that you want to work in. Mm-hmm. And then you'll just start acquiring a license. I show people how to do that all the time. Yeah. I put mine on a credit card.
Yeah.
So I just try to, acquire as many licenses as possible. That way it makes me more appealing.
Yep.
To the firms.
You got all the badges.
give me all of that, because it's like I was hungry. You know what I'm saying? I was hungry. I was tired of where the job didn't equal the pay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was working. I was always a good worker, but it's like the money don't add up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I got over here and I was like, this is crazy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, not only am I making a lot of money, I'm learning a skill that is like, crazy. So now it's like when I'm looking at a property maybe that I want to buy, I already know what I'm looking at. When I bought my house, I found 3 holes in the roof. You know what I'm saying? With my home inspector.
Right.
He was like, who are you?
Right.
I was like, man,
you're like, I'm him.
I'm him. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, tell him to fix that too.
Yeah.
I got all that fixed up, but you're looking at things from a different lens. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, and it changed your life.
Gotcha.
And I'm not saying this a replacement for college, but if you don't know what you want to do, this is a lane and you're not going to acquire any debt.
Yeah.
And you can always go back and do whatever you want to do. You still got 6 months, 7 months to,
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. Should they get your education before the official certification or after? Wait. I mean, it should be both, but like what you offer as far as your mentorship with helping them, like, should they get that first, go through your curriculum, then go get officially take that 40-hour course?
As my mentor say, I'm all about loving on the people.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just keep it straight up. What I would do is if you're unsure, I would probably grab the ebook. And the ebook is going to kind of like let you know if this is something that you may want to do.
Yeah.
If you're serious and you want to dive into it, I would get the course.
Yeah.
The mentorship is more so for a person that's either doing it already and they're trying to streamline their process, because people in the field adjusting industry, they already know the money is real. I'm not trying to convince them. I'm not trying to convince anybody at this point. But they already know. They're just I'm trying to streamline their process and like, how's he working from home? You see what I'm saying? So I can show you how to streamline the process, get better, or maybe have you work from home. But I say that to say the mentorship is more for somebody that's in it and they want more access to me so I can show them how to capitalize on their gains.
How to accelerate, right? How to figure it out. Not have to hit all the roadblocks. Not have to take day rates when they can go component, like you said.
Exactly.
So leave the information where they can find you and tap in with you.
All social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok. You can follow me at Hollywood_N Ward. So that's HOLLYWOOD_N WARD. On Facebook is my name, Nicholas Ward. Man, I got a YouTube.
Okay.
It's GMF.
Is there a text code or anything?
The text code hold on. Let me.
Yep.
Down here. Sorry, guys.
We're gonna put it on the screen and
I'm gonna put it on the screen for you. But because I had a good time here at the podcast, I'm gonna do something special for your people too.
Okay.
So if you all text Tony to this number, I'll give you access to my free webinar where it'll break down everything for you guys, and I'll give you some more sauce, and it'll also give you a discounted rate to my products as well.
Okay.
Text 833-239-8836. That number again is 833-239-8836, and then text Tony TONY to that, and then I'll give you a free link to the webinar. And I'll pretty much be able to answer.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So like he said, everybody, like if you are in that situation where you're trying to figure out an amazing job, I'm not even going to say gig, an amazing job that you don't have to have the education for, that you can make an amazing income without going into debt, definitely check out Nicholas Ward when it comes to field adjusting, working on natural disasters. We see it every single day. And I want to pass the last word to you. Just leave the people who are thinking about this one last message of like why they need to jump into this.
I truly feel like if you want to help somebody, you have to be able to change their financial situation. And to do that, I'm trying to give you all a skill set that can do that. And like I said, it is life-changing. And I want you to do your own research, but I really want to love on the people and, give back, because everybody that I've helped thus far, they've been able to buy homes. They've been able to, put their kids in, the top schools and buy their dream cars. It's crazy. And at the end of the day, it's going to happen regardless.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's going to happen regardless. So it's like, why are you looking at these storms as destruction and chaos? Yes, that is true, but it also could be the biggest payday ever.
Man. Well, y'all heard it, everyone. That's another episode of the Tune In with Tony podcast. Now, that was my guy, Nicholas Ward. Check out all the links down below. Tap in with him. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.